Anyways, I'm digressing. Here is the moment, the series of moments that we have been waiting for, that I have been hyping, pimping, pushing, convincing you to stay seated, stay drunk, stay good looking. Probably not hard for some of you. Let's give a warm welcome to His Eminence, the Cardinal of Wisconsin, Brett Emerson! Raise the room!
Ladies and gentlemen, Fedora the Explorer. Either that or a hitman from the Lollipop Guild. I'm gonna make you an offer you can't refuse. Bali Elvic Road, give me a broom. So normally a comedian asks how you guys are doing and then you yell real loud. So let's just cut the shit and just yell real loud right now. Good shit cutting. I was gonna start tonight by doing this bit I have about how people in Bellingham all know at least 5 people who sound like Michael Cera. Everyone's really mousy, and if Bellingham made a porn, it would be the most introverted, mumblecore, polite thing in the world. And then Saturday happened. And all that shit went out the window. For anyone who doesn't know the details, a bunch of unruly freshmen started having a huge fucking riot out on Indian Street, started throwing beer bottles and rocks and shit at the cops who responded with smoke bombs and rubber bullets, and total opposite of what Bellingham is in my mind. I'm sure they still threw the bottles and said, hey, not cool, man, but... Gosh, cops. This is what happens when 1,000 privileged college students lose their allowances at the same time. What provoked this? Did they cancel Arrested Development again? I haven't seen this misplaced outpouring of suburban rage since Adam Lambert finished second on American Idol. It's funny because Michael Bednar told me he had this, he found this on the internet, and it was something called like WWU Confessions or some sort of anonymous confession thing. And it just perfectly illustrated what I wanted to open with and what I'm opening with now. The top anonymous confession says, freshman know how to party, YOLO swag! And then underneath it's, I don't know how to find a girlfriend. I feel like I'm a really nice guy, but nobody wants to talk to me. Bellingham. So everyone got all up in arms about this. This has made national news. Unfortunately, no one used the inappropriate headline I suggested, which is privileged white kids break bottles on Indian. But since it is Bellingham, the real crime here is that all those bottles were recyclable. But I understand it. I understand riots. I wish I was there. I love mayhem, and I'm in my 30s, but I still have the attitude of a teenager. I'm kind of a man-child, so I get the urge to destroy things, but I'm also, just because I'm kind of a child, it's been confusing for me how women stole the word toys from men. You ladies have toys. Keep it cool, it's fine. Oh, someone. It's confusing because men were boys, and boys had toys and we played with them. But then we grew up and we had to play it cool, and toys became action figures. They never came out of the plastic case. They were collectible items. And women, seeing that abandoned house of language, moved in and filled it with dildos.
They were plenty new.
But it gets a little awkward when the girl asks you if you'd like to have sex, and you say yes. And then she asks if you'd like to bring some toys into it. You say okay. And then you show up. And you get butt-ass naked. Holding He-Man. And some Transformers. And some Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. And a few G.I. Joe and Power Rangers. But, to her credit, they all fit.
Love that one.
I realized that I'd become old, not because I had hit a certain age, but because I started yelling at people 10 years younger than me that my video games are better than theirs. This is just this beautiful display of generational decline, because my grandparents used to be able to brag, hey, we fought Hitler. And 50 years from now, I'm going to be able to brag, hey, we played video games where we fought Hitler. And he had cyborg spider legs and had chain guns for arms, and his little chaplain stash shot out losers. Just imagine, like, 50 years from now, I'm going to be talking to my granddaughter about the good old days, and it's going to go like, in my day, video games were only two-dimensional, and we could only run right, and we loved it. In my day, we didn't have save states. We had long, unintelligible passwords, and we had to fill up notebooks with this unintelligible gibberish, and it was character building. We had to run up the Koopa Troopa hill both ways. We didn't have telepathic, telekinetic, online gaming. You should appreciate what you have, because I had to walk through 3 feet of snow in the 20-degree below zero weather. 2 blocks to play with my friends. It was horrible. Now hand me one of those green mushrooms, dear. I'm hungry. Why do you eat those green mushrooms, Grandpa? Because I'm never going to die. The green mushroom, the extra life, the one-up, is the entire reason I could never be a Christian. And I understand that video games are the natural output of religion, because you always get a second chance and you get to keep going and you get extra lives. But I was not raised in a Christian house, so by the time I made Jesus Christ's acquaintance, Super Mario Brothers had rendered him completely irrelevant. Let's throw them side by side. Jesus Christ lived at 33 years old, preached, was tortured, crucified, and he rose from the dead. I could make Mario do that shit when I was 5. Jesus Christ lived 2 lives. In Super Mario Brothers, you start with 3. Jesus Christ turned water into wine, fed the multitudes, walked on water. In Super Mario Brothers, I can make Mario run into a glowing flower and shoot bouncy fireballs at turtle ducks. I'm sorry, Jesus, but my spirituality isn't another castle. But they keep trying to do the telemarketing shit on you, and they don't take the hint that we all know the message. It's just some of us don't care. But it's weird still when they try and co-opt things that Jesus had nothing to do with. and put their agenda in his mouth. One of the weirdest billboards I've ever seen had Jesus on it. And he's on the left half. And he's got his arms out, kind of like that dude from Creed. Can you take me higher? Well, actually, I can. And he's got the Britney Spears doe eyes. He's got his heart's exposed and it's shooting lasers everywhere. It's kind of like the Jesus Christ you expect to find at a planetarium while Pink Floyd is playing. And on the right, it reads, Jesus, I trust in you. I didn't really understand what that meant until I looked at the bottom. And it's basically advertising a website that is called truthaboutcontraception.org. Let me explain why this is fucked up. Jesus Christ lived 2,000 years ago. There weren't 7 billion people on the earth. The market for the sanctity of life had not yet flooded. I don't imagine God had a whole lot of opinions about the pill, because the primary source of contraception in those days was alligator shit liqueur. Which really says something if you'd rather risk a yeast infection than a baby. Expecting Jesus Christ, or anyone 2,000 years ago, to have a moderate and nuanced opinion about abortion, or contraception, or masturbation, or venereal diseases is kind of like asking George Washington to pilot the USS Enterprise. Yeah, let's go on to George Washington. One more guy that they put words in his mouth. Oh, what would the founding fathers do if they were alive today and they saw this partisan bickering? I don't know, they'd probably get an iPod and jack off the porn on the internet. I don't know, probably wear a powdered wig. Who gives a fuck? They're dead or alive. Fuck them. Take their good ideas, move on with them, but stop punting your ethical football to history. So I go on this website, and Jesus is a no-show. What a shock! But there's a lot of masturbating hate from church leaders. There's a lot of sin of Onan the barbarian bullshit. But there was one speck of gold in the turd, and it was a quote that read, "Without God, chastity is impossible." And the name of the guy who said that quote was Father John Hardon. This is a real guy. Father John Hardon is promoting chastity. This is like learning about kosher law from a guy named Rabbi Bacon. Or learning about the dangers of secondhand smoke from Dr. Blackline. Or learning about pussy from Andy Dick. He loves us all more than Jesus, and a little stickier. A couple other weird billboards I've seen really illustrate our weird relationship with food. Above Cosmic Comics for a while, there was a McDonald's billboard, and it had a little egg asleep in its little nest, and it was having a dream. Thought bubble, thought bubble, thought bubble, Egg McMuffin. And the tagline reads, "Every egg's dream." Now, I wonder how many people involved in the creation of that billboard are hardcore pro-life. Because you will never see a little fetus dreaming a little dream, dreaming, coat hanger. Never. And that's not even the weirdest food billboard I've ever seen. That honor goes to Burger King, who in California had a billboard that read, "Pimp my Whopper." That's what we've come to. This is the pinnacle of our evolution. We're equating the food we eat with sex work. Yeah, because I imagine like all of you, like me, imagine when we're eating our Whoppers, we're in a seedy back alley covered in hobo shit. The alley, not us yet. And we're crouched behind a dumpster, frantically gnawing away at our Whopper, while across the way, an Eastern European pimp plays with his shiny gold rings and cubic zirconia and glaze at us while he fondles a switchblade. Yeah, that's the image I have when I eat fast food. When I eat a Whopper, I want to imagine syphilis and stretch marks. Yeah, wonderful. When I eat a Whopper, I want to imagine that Whopper has a bunch of little kids, little baby Whopper Juniors who don't know their dads. I fathered you with a 2-piece in a bucket. Well, your dad was a McGriddle who left the rest stop. Yeah, that's what I want. And then you can eat it only legally in Nevada. And yeah, hit my Whopper. I think I'll have the garden salad. Thank you. I don't want to come down with AIDS. Not at Burger King anyway. I'm trying to be a good role model. I try to help people. When my nephew was young, I used to tell him that teen smoking is for losers. But luckily for all of us, he died of lung cancer when he was 11. Kids smoke like a chimney, but tobacco is wacko if you're a teen, not if you're a toddler. It's totally cool. Kid died like a champ, went out on top. Should have probably listened to Dr. Blacklung. Yeah. Oh, is it weird that Abe Lincoln was shot while sitting in the chair by a guy named Booth? I think it would be far more appropriate if he got capped in an antebellum Applebee's. Like, hi, I'm your waiter, John Wilkes Booth. Do you have room for dessert? I do now.
Really?
Too soon. Here's your checks, except for Tyrannus. I've often wondered if the term Down syndrome would mean something completely different if we had evolved from ducks. Just imagine a couple of Howard the Ducks hanging out, a couple of bros at a house party, their collars pop, they got their Quack's body spray on. One of them looks at the other one. One of them looks at the other one and says, which translates as, dude, we're not getting any labyrinth and duck pussy. What the fuck? You look like shit, your feathers are a mess. Dude, you know I have Down syndrome. Well, comb your feathers, you look like a retard. Dude, not cool. Party foul. And it is at this time where your humble, mild-mannered comedian displays his secret identity. The Punisher. It's fucking pun time. I want to see a fucking show about a dolphin who's a lawyer called Habeas Corpus. And I want to see a spin-off of that of his aquatic buddy who can read the future called Seal Your Fate. I want to see a sitcom about a recently separated couple who's forced to stay together and run a coffee shop called Grounds for Divorce. I want to see a documentary about a guy who makes rooster cages called Cockblocker. I want to see a reality show starring Sue as a professional wrestler called Suplex. I want to see a show about some robots in Jersey who hang out and act all Guido-ish called RoboKin. I want to see a show about a Roman emperor who has a massive cock called Elephantitis. And then they can make a spin-off show about his younger brother who has venereal disease. It's called hepatitis. I want to see a sitcom about a drug dealer and a prostitute who live together called Jack and Coke. I want to see a horror movie about insects who rise from the grave and infect everyone called Zombie. I want to see a documentary about teenagers in the French Revolution called Guillotines. Neil is right. I want to see a book about a mule who rides a broken down horse and thinks he's a knight and fights windmills called Don Quixote. If they make a movie about it, the tagline would be like, "It kicks ass!" Do you know that Helen Keller was secretly a fascist? Oh God, indeed. Oh God's gonna characterize the rest of this set. Yeah, she was. She was a member of the Nazi Party. Yeah, they kept her water away from her. But not for me. I can say water. I've said it all my life. Let's not give the impression that I am pro-fascist. I've actually been, as if that was an issue. Oh, that guy's a fascist. He uses bad puns. A time-tested characteristic of all state worshippers. I want to read to you guys from a book that really inspired me, and I found a lot of meaning in. Anne Frank, The Diary of a Young Girl. This is a book. This is a book about one girl in the Netherlands who suffered greatly under Nazi oppression. And she had to live in an attic with her parents. And eventually the Nazis found her, sent her to a concentration camp, and killed her. Now, I want to read to you my favorite part of this just great book. And I want to read it to you as Arnold Schwarzenegger. Oh God, indeed.
Day 63. I've been stuck in this attic for forever. But I still have to believe in the goodness of humans. But it's getting so hard. Just the other day, the Gestapo came and took away old man Biederman. I saw it out my window. They were taking him away, and just before they put him in the van, the commandant looked at him in the eye and said, "You have just been erased." It was almost as bad as when my sister Margot took my Turbo Man doll and all my lollipops. I'm going to repeat the line that Michael Bednar said earlier. I wanted to crush her. I wanted to see her turn before me. I wanted to hear the lamentations of her women, which I guess would have been me. And she licked the lollipop, and I grew insane with rage, and I screamed at her, "You want to fuck with me? You want to fuck with me? You want to fuck with me?" You're a fucking choir boy compared to me. A choir boy, or whatever the female Jewish version of a choir boy is. My parents got so upset they grounded me. How the fuck do you ground Anne Frank? It would seem that the Nazis did a pretty goddamn good job of grounding me already. Oh, wait till the Fuhrer gets home. He's going to be furious. They locked me in the water closet for the whole day. But even worse than that, I was embarrassed in front of our flatmate, my neighbor, Peter, who I'm in love with.
Accuracy, come on.
Someday I would like to get to the chapel with Peter. And go somewhere foreign and exotic. And get married and have his babies. Somewhere like California. But But I have to keep hope alive. Because even if Adolf Hitler and his army of goddamn Terminators come in this fucking attic and take me away, I'm just going to scream at them. I'm going to say, go on, what are you waiting for? Kill me, do it! Take me and my family to your death camps. Shoot us, gas us, starve us, throw us in mass graves. Destroy all of my people. Who gives a fuck? I'm going to tell you one thing though, you motherfucker. I'll be back. Yours, Anne.